All right, let's just jump right into this explainer and explore how ordinary people are pulling off some seriously impossible-sounding intellectual feats. I mean, have you ever looked at someone who mastered a profoundly difficult skill in record time and just thought, well, they must be a genius? Today, we are going to completely shatter that myth, because what we're actually looking at is a highly structured, totally intentional approach to rapid skill acquisition. And the best part? Anyone can learn it.
So think about this for a second. Can you actually get an MIT education without, going to MIT? Well, this question was famously answered by a guy named Scott Young. Scott wanted to learn computer science, but he really didn't want to spend another 4 years of his life drowning in student loans and dealing with college bureaucracy. Instead, he realized MIT had actually uploaded the materials from hundreds of their classes online totally for free. So he kicked off what he called the MIT Challenge, aiming to master the entire computer science curriculum right from his bedroom in Canada.
And he pulled off this entire 4-year university curriculum in under 12 months. Literally, just let that sink in for a second. 12 months. And he didn't just casually passively watch videos on double speed either. He took the actual final exams. He completed the rigorous programming projects, all without ever setting foot in a single classroom or sitting through a mandatory lecture. He basically figured out how to strip away all the fluff and just attack the material with absolute ruthless efficiency.
And the crazy thing is, Scott definitely isn't alone here. Take a look at these other unbelievable feats. You've got Benny Lewis, who travels the world and achieves conversational fluency in entirely foreign languages in just 3 months by forcing himself into total immersion from day one. Or Roger Craig, who shattered all-time Jeopardy records by building custom text mining and spaced repetition software to literally mathematically analyze and memorize trivia. Then there's Eric Barone. He worked as a theater usher, making minimum wage, just so he could spend 5 years single-handedly teaching himself pixel art, music composition, and programming to create the massive blockbuster video game Stardew Valley. To the outside world, these things seem like straight-up magic.
But here's the crucial point. These aren't just isolated acts of pure innate genius. Nope, they are the result of a very specific, replicatable system outlined in today's source material, the book Ultralearning by Scott H. Young. Whether you're trying to crush a game show, build a million-dollar business, or decode a new language, the underlying architecture of how these people conquer knowledge is exactly the same.
So the book demystifies all of this through a concept called ultralearning. It basically boils down to a strategy that is both intensely demanding and completely self-directed. We are not talking about passive learning here. You are entirely in the driver's seat of your own education. It means actively choosing deep, difficult mental work over convenient, comfortable, passive entertainment. To really picture this kind of rapid skill building in action, think about Scott's attempt to learn portrait drawing. His initial sketch on day 1 was, well, pretty awkward. But by day 30, it had evolved into this deeply realistic, incredibly well-proportioned portrait. He pulled this off through a relentless, targeted feedback loop. He was literally drawing, overlaying photos right on top of his sketches to see exactly where his proportions were off and instantly correcting those errors.
All right, moving into section 1, the paradigm shift, and why this matters right now.
We're actually living through this massive transition. We're rapidly moving away from that old world where an expensive degree basically guaranteed you a static, safe middle-class career. Now we're in a new reality where, honestly, average is officially over. We've entered an era of intense skill polarization. You're either continuously leveling up or you're just getting left behind.
And there are 3 massive macroeconomic drivers forcing this shift. First, economically, technology is just wiping out medium-skilled jobs, the steady, middle-of-the-road desk jobs, while high-skilled roles are absolutely thriving. Educationally, college tuition is skyrocketing so fast that the return on investment for the traditional college path is really crumbling. But then technologically, we have literally never had more access to free, world-class information and advanced learning software. So in this kind of environment, continuously learning hard skills isn't just a fun hobby anymore, it's an absolute career survival tactic. To actually navigate all of this, the source lays out this massive, structured blueprint of 9 principles that all ultralearners intuitively use to conquer complex topics quickly. We're talking everything from how to laser focus and drill into your absolute weakest points to how you retain knowledge so you don't just forget the whole shebang a week later. It's a really complete system.
Which brings us to section 2, the very first step, metalearning.
To really wrap our heads around this first step, let's look at linguist Dan Everett. Get this, he can decode an entirely unknown Amazonian language in just half an hour. He literally stands in front of a native speaker. They share zero common words, by the way, and by using a very specific sequence of physical objects and actions, he extracts nouns, verbs, and grammatical structures in minutes. It's a technique so mind-blowingly effective, it actually inspired the alien communication method in the sci-fi movie Arrival.
Everett's absolute secret weapon here is metalearning. And metalearning literally just means learning about learning. Before Everett even tries to memorize a single specific word, he relies on a deeply ingrained map of how language itself is structured. You see, you have to draw a map of how the subject works, where the roadblocks are, and how the knowledge is organized before you just blindly dive into studying it.
So, to draw your own map and avoid wasting hundreds of hours studying the wrong things, you've got to break your project down into 3 very distinct steps, determining your why, your what, and your how. Let's break these down real quick.
Starting with the why. Why are you actually doing this? You've got to be totally honest with yourself here. Are you learning this instrumentally, meaning you want a very specific outcome like a promotion, a career shift, or bump in salary? Or is this intrinsic, like you're doing it just for the pure joy and curiosity of the subject, say wanting to learn French just for fun? Because if it's instrumental, your map needs to strictly focus on the exact skills that actually trigger that career result, and literally nothing else.
Next up, we tackle the what. And it really helps to take a piece of paper and triangulate your topic into 3 columns. First up, concepts. These are the deep theories you really must understand, like mathematical formulas or core legal principles. Second, facts. These are things you just have to flat out memorize, like foreign vocabulary words. And third, procedures. These are physical or mental actions you actually have to practice, like riding a bike or perfecting a pronunciation. Identifying these 3 things tells you exactly what tools you're going to need.
And finally, we get to the how. How are you actually going to learn it? Honestly, one of the greatest cheat codes in Ultralearning is the expert interview method. Find someone who has already achieved your specific goal and just ask them for 15 minutes of their time. Run your Metalearning Map by them. I guarantee they will immediately tell you if you're using the wrong resources or focusing on the wrong bottlenecks, and that alone will save you months of wasted effort.
At the end of the day, you can't just be a passive passenger in your own education. You absolutely must take complete responsibility for your own journey. You've got to push way past your comfort zone, aggressively experiment with things, and find the methods that actually work best for your specific brain.
I want to leave you with this thought to kind of chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Deep learning totally expands your very conception of what is actually possible. Armed with this roadmap and knowing that real mastery is just a matter of structured intensity, what seemingly impossible skill are you going to conquer next? And honestly, more importantly, who could you become in the process?